Hey, and welcome to another sneaker review. This time we're looking at some Reebok pumps, some Omni pumps. In 1990, Reebok released the original Omni Zone pump. This one here is from 2012, I believe, around that time. Either way, both versions have ERS in the heel, and ERS is the energy return system. But by 1991, Reebok had replaced that with Hexalite. In this, the Omni Zone 2. And as you can see, you've got the Hexalite there in the heel. And there's the logo. And basically, Hexalite appeared in all of their pumps from that point on. They stopped using ERS until they started retroing everything again. Anyway, in 1991 also saw the Omni Lite, which is a low-top version, or kind of maybe a mid-cut version. This would be a 3/4 version, but it's definitely lower. It's a lower version of the Omni Zone 2. This actual shoe is from a 2008 release, a special edition D. Brown pack to commemorate his 1991 Slam Dunk Contest victory, and this is pair 45 out of 1991 for the year 1991. And I think this kind of creates some confusion because D. Brown didn't actually wear the Omni Lite pump at that contest. He actually wore the Omni Zone 2, but the Omni Zone 2s that he wore were these, the black, white, and orange ones. So I don't know why they didn't just release the Omni Zone 2s in the black and white colorway. Either way, still a cool pair of shoes. And finally, put that over there. I wanted to show you this shoe. This is an awesome shoe. This is the 2014 Reebok Omni Lite pump, part of the vintage pack. They came out with a few vintage sneakers. I know they released the vintage aerobic pump. They released, I think, the running pump, this basketball pump, the Omni Lite, and I think there was one more. Either way, this is kind of, in my opinion, a tribute to both the vintage Omni Lite and to the Omni Zone 2, and I'll tell you why. First, we'll just go over basically the Omni family and some of the similarities. We find that they all have very similar toe boxes with similar perforation designs. Not exactly the same, but pretty similar. That very early 90s Reebok toe box here. Dips down here, comes up, comes down. We got this back part here, this leather coming up from the heel and coming down to the midfoot. You've got accents around the back, around the heel, here at the midfoot, and over here, small accent. Same thing here. Heel, midfoot, and small accent here. And here as well on the Omni Zones. Also got this triangular cutout here and this diamond shaped cutout here. Same over here. And same on the Omni Lite. Look at the back. Similar deal, very similar. Coming down around to this V. Same thing here, just smaller because it's a lower top shoe. We can also see we've got these 3 layers, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 3. And of course, they are all basketball shoes. The big difference here is that the Omni Zone has the ERS and the other two have Hexalite. That's the main difference. Come around here. Hopefully the lighting isn't too bad. We can see that the tread patterns are very similar. Lighting could be better, but yeah, you can see they're very similar. Only difference again is here you've got the ERS, and here you've got the Hexalite. Another big difference would be, of course, these plastic lace eyelets. Of course, you can see they're pretty different on the Omni Zones and the Omni Zone 2s and the Omni Lites. The Omni Lites and the Omni Zone 2, you can see the same thing. A lot different here, but you've got it here on the first lace hole and the top lace hole here underneath the 2 on the collar. Here too, first lace hole, and then the top one just underneath the 2 on the collar. Same thing, 2 on the collar, 1 underneath, and 1 on the first one here. One minor difference between, I'll say, the vintage shoes and the newer retros is if you take a look at the pump, so you can zoom in there, the word "the" is in small font, and it's got a little pump semicircle surrounding it right over the U there. And on the newer versions, the retro versions, you can see that semicircle pump is a lot bigger. It covers the word pump, and the font is a lot bigger here for the word "the." That's true for the 2014s, true for the 2008s, and true for the 2012 or so Omni Zones. It's pretty much true for any of the retro basketball shoes. They have the large semicircle pump and larger font for the word "the", and the vintage ones have the smaller stuff. However, that is not true for the tennis ones. The retro ones, this is a pair of Court Victories. This is a retro version. You can see they've kept the small semicircle pump and the small font for the word "the". And now to compare the differences between the Omni Zone 2 and the Omni Lite. Aside from the height, we've got on the Omni Zone 2 Hexalite, Reebok, and basketball all being stitched in, whereas on the Omni Lite, Hexalite, Reebok, and basketball are all printed. We've also got leather up here around the collar, a leather tongue, and over here we've got a mesh or a netting along the collar and over the tongue. So those are the big differences. Now this is not a vintage pair, but they stayed pretty true to the original on this 2008 version. So now to the Omni Lite. Why I think it's kind of a hybrid between the original Omni Lite and the Omni Zone 2. We can see first of all that the Hexalite, the Reebok, and basketball are all stitched in. They're not printed. Furthermore, we don't have leather on the collar or just plain leather on the tongue. We have this netting, and it's not the same as on the Omni Zone 2. This is a lot softer. This is a lot more coarse. It feels thicker. get a better shot. You can see the netting appears in the same spots on both shoes. They are also very similar colors. The true vintage shoe here being white, navy blue, and orange, though it's even more of a kind of a neon orange, very 90s. Very simple names for their colors. Over here on the 2014 vintage version, this I believe is considered chalk, navy, and Sandtrap. Sandtrap is on here somewhere. I don't know if this is Sandtrap, this could be Sandtrap, or if the pump is Sandtrap. I don't know. But it's called vintage, was part of the vintage pack, because they've yellowed the midsole, and this is chalk. It isn't white. As you can see, this is a little brighter, hopefully you can see. So this is supposed to look a little faded. Same with the laces, same with the plastic here. And this, I guess, is more of kind of an old school basketball pump color, not the neon one. And taking a look at the two boxes on the 2014s, you can see the information. This is a pull-out box. It says Reebok Classic. Got the other shoe in there with the tissue paper. And on the 1991s, got a vintage box here. The information. They went for $104.99 originally, reduced to $75. The other shoe. It's yellowing a little bit, kind of becoming its own Sandtrap color naturally. And it came with this cool little pamphlet here. No two feet are exactly alike. Just goes over the pump and the different systems. Got the full system on the Twilight Zone and the midfoot system on the Omni Zone. Turning it around, got the different pumps that came out around that time. I believe this was printed in 1990. So this is the Reebok Pump Omni family, and if you're interested in buying any pumps from this series or this family, specifically the Omni Lite in this colorway, you can find these on eBay. If you want the special edition D Brown ones, they're probably going to run you between $100 and $150 for a brand new pair. But if you don't want to spend that much money but you like this colorway, you can often find this on Reebok.com and many other sites. And while they aren't exactly the same as this 2008 version, they're very similar, and you can probably get them for a little under $100. I know right now they are on Reebok.com selling these, I believe, in women's sizes. I know that you can find these in the women's section of Reebok.com. So any females out there who want to rock these, or any shoes, these can be found. These are really cool on Reebok.com. This 2014 vintage pack version, I got mine for $70, and I think that's a steal for such a great shoe. Now, I've worn these with socks, without socks. They have this very comfortable terry cloth lining, you can see there, and it runs all the way down to about here. And the toe box and around here is a different material, I believe, but they're pretty comfortable. Not as comfortable as a modern day running shoe, but pretty comfortable for a retro shoe that's kind of got that retro or that kind of old school technology. I was pleasantly surprised. So you can get these for about $70. I would say at most you might have to spend $120, maybe $150, but right now I know you can get these for under 100. Moving on, the Omni Zones. Let's see. The vintage ones from 1990 are hard to come by, and oftentimes I have a pair, but oftentimes, as is the case with mine, the midsole is crumbling and they're not wearable. But thankfully they've been retroed in many different colorways. You can get these on Reebok.com and places like Sneakers and stuff. Basically all over eBay. I would say you're going to pay between, say, 75 and 150 depending on the color. But awesome shoes, comfortable shoes, just all around really nice. And if you're looking for a vintage pair of Omni Zone 2s, because I don't think they've been retroed, they're going to be hard to find. I haven't seen many. I know the person who sold me these had another pair that wasn't yellowing, but I didn't get them in time. I haven't worn them, so I can't say how comfortable they are, but this lining feels really nice. It's nice and thick. As always, go up half a size if you're buying vintage shoes, and always be careful with the midsole. It might look great, but then you put it on and walk down the street one block and they're falling apart. If you can find these, I would say you're gonna look to get them for probably between $150 and $200. Sometimes people don't know what they have and they won't know how rare this shoe is, and you can pick them up for a lot less, but chances are people have done their homework and have done their research, and you can expect to pay between $150 and $200. But definitely worth getting if you like pumps, especially vintage pumps. So that's it for the video of the Reebok Omni Pump family. Hope you enjoyed it. Like it, comment, subscribe, do whatever people do, and have a great day.